Hello, Dad. This is Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast. And today's topic is this: Raising Men, the book by Eric Davis. Let's do it.
Hi, my name's Mika, and you're listening to my dad, Jay Warren. This is the Dadhood Journey podcast. Thanks for listening.
Yep. All right, Dad. So I wanted to share with you this resource. It's a book that I came across last year. It's called Raising Men, From Fathers to Sons, Life Lessons from Navy SEAL Training. And it's written by Eric Davis. He himself is a retired Navy SEAL. He was a sniper. He became a sniper instructor as well before leaving the military. He's doing other projects now, and one of them is writings. And I heard him talking about his book last year, I believe, on the James Altucher podcast. And it really intrigued me. I picked up the book, I read it through, and it's been really helpful for me. And now that I'm moving into the Dadhood Journey podcasting space, I wanted to share it with you because I think you'll find it helpful as well. Now, from the title, Raising Men and From Fathers to Sons, it's written in that sense that it is for men that have boys, but he himself is a father of 4 and only one is a son. He has 3 daughters. And I would venture to say he would say the same thing, that these principles in the book, and I'll go through each of the principles on just briefly, are not son or male or boy specific. They can definitely apply to raising daughters and raising women. It's just he put it in the context of specifically for boys and for sons, because in his experience, he talks about this at the beginning of the book, that a lot of the men that he's been working with now that he's out of the military have really lost their way as men. Our role in society as men and defining masculinity has changed, and our role as fathers and dads and how we work in the family unit. There's a lot of blending of roles, and it's not as clear cut, and we kind of default into our old ways, like either the way we were raised, we just started automatically doing it the same way that our fathers did it, or if we didn't like that, we kind of knee-jerk in the opposite and just do the opposite without really thinking it through. And so he put it together in this context because, and I'll read an excerpt from the book right here. He says, I've seen too many fathers experience high levels of shame, doubt, frustration, and failure for 2 main reasons. First, they mistakenly adopt their father's or family's cultural assumptions about manhood, choosing a firm, authoritarian style of parenting that relies on harsh discipline, coercive punishment, and the restriction of love. And second, due to apathy, laziness, or busyness, they crank the knob on their fathering scope so far in the other direction that they cripple their son's ability to grow, either by giving them everything he wants or by insulating him from the natural and necessary consequences of his choices and behaviors, which denies him the opportunity to learn and grow. It's like they lift up their sons over every obstacle course that's meant to develop the strength and skill that they need to survive and thrive. And so by going through each of these chapters, he talks about a different principle that he's learned in Navy SEAL training. And it's a really cool read because he'll talk about his experience and different trainings and experiences that he had as he went through his own Navy SEAL training. And then the second part of the chapter is how he applies it to parenting. So it's a really cool read to see that experience of that Navy SEAL world, which I find fascinating. And then to put it into the parenting world, it then gives you an idea of what you may be able to do differently with your son and course correct as needed. So in each of the chapters, I'm just going to go over them briefly. I definitely think I'd like to dive into each one of these chapters with some take-homes and other episodes. But as he goes through it, the first chapter, he talks about building a team, and it's about how to create a team atmosphere within the whole family unit in different ways that he learned in communication as well as experiences, so that bond is created so that when things get tough then you're able to work through that differently than if everybody's at each other's throats and there's no common bond, no team. Second chapter is lead from the front, and this is a really great chapter talking about really being the example of, and I've talked about this before, that your kids are really watching what you do and emulating what you do rather than what you say. And so it really strikes at home about how to lead from the front, be a leader, and by doing it by example. The next chapter is don't be right, be effective, and that's really about owning your own mistakes and allowing your son or your child to see when you make a mistake, how you own up to it, and you apologize and you course correct. That in and of itself allows your kid to do the same, because we want to teach our kids to be able to identify when they've made a mistake, take responsibility for it, and move on, course correct and move on. But again, kind of going back to lead from the front and being the example, you need to do it yourself. The next chapter, chapter 4, it's easier to keep up than catch up. And that's really about consistency, day in, day out, being consistent with your kids, and also being involved and coaching them rather than just reprimanding them, having the space of a coach and a leader rather than just a disciplinarian that's always telling them what to do, but really stepping into a coaching aspect. Next chapter, chapter 5, is hesitation kills. It's really about being able to respond in the moment when the best impact can be made, when something is either going good or going bad, rather than waiting to do a correction. Oftentimes if a situation is going on with your kiddo, like in the moment is the time to be able to change behavior and to teach a lesson and to allow things to correct rather than waiting for later to either let the dust settle or for you to process it or figure out. And that takes you being aware of what's going on and again, being a leader. Sixth chapter is mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And this is a really, really great chapter I loved. It's about toughness, mental and physical toughness, but it really about how to set up examples and experiences for your kid to be able to self-regulate. And I think that's a really important skill that's not really, one is something I don't, haven't been taught how to teach my child how to do it, but I see self-regulation is so important. Instead of, as a parent, telling him how to do all these things and to how to behave and how to feel and what to do, giving him over the responsibility and the skills to be able to navigate it himself and to, what the common term is, self-regulate. Chapter 7 is it pays to be a winner, and it's all about positive competition and how much of a learning environment, a growth environment competition can be, about, to keep trying rather than quitting and getting discouraged by it, and really setting up an environment with your kids so they can learn from failure and not be discouraged by failure that they end up quitting. Chapter 8 is the only easy day was yesterday. And that's a saying that he talks a lot about in this chapter, relating to the importance of constant learning and growth rather than resting on your laurels. Okay, I achieved this, now I'm done. Really instilling in our kids how growth and expansion and constant learning is really what life's all about, and how to, again, do that for yourself as a parent. So your child seeing you do that, but then also ways of teaching your kid or showing your kid how that's important, how that's fun, rather than it being relentless. Oh man, we got to keep doing something, instead of getting lazy. And then, speaking of lazy, chapter 9 is get off your ass. It's really about the health and fitness portion of things, and how fit and how much are you exercising yourself? How well are you taking care of your own body? Because you can't, tell your kid to eat well or to go exercise or go out and play if you're not doing the same. And it's about, again, pushing yourself and growing and evolving and having things that lead you and that you're looking forward to and exciting rather than resting on your laurels there. Chapter 10 is respect a fight. It's about fighting, like when and where it might be appropriate to and how to avoid things. He talks a lot about bullying and how kids can handle those kind of situations. I think that's a really, really great chapter. I think it's really important for our boys to talk with us about and to understand better, because it's definitely going to be coming up. And then the last chapter is about taking back what's mine is the title of it, but it's really about now that your kids might be grown, that you're still their father, you're still their dad, you're still leading them in a lot of ways. And if you just kind of, now that they're adults, let them off into their own life, that you're not serving them as well as if you stay involved. And even if as a dad, if you are a dad of grown kids and you don't feel like you were as bonded as you wished you were back then, it's never too late. You can always connect with your kids and be involved and become more involved, even though in their childhood you might not have been as much as you want. So with all of these chapters, there are just so many great takeaways. I've really enjoyed it myself. I'll probably be going in to each one of these chapters and highlighting some takeaways that I got. And just to close up, I'm going to have a link here in the show notes so you can check out the book on Amazon. I'm going to leave a link for his website where he has a free ebook that's awesome too. It's called Habits of Heroes. It's not really about parenting. It's more about manhood in general. And that's a really great read. I've probably read that 10 times over the last year since I first got it. It's a great reminder. It's a pretty quick read, but that I just have it on my phone. That gives me some good reminders every once in a while. He's got great content, guys, so definitely check it out. But to end, he says, what does it take to be a SEAL parent? And this is obviously the context that he's in. It's courage, respect, honor, perseverance, innovation, communication, confidence, and responsibility. And I think going through this list, there are many of them that I don't think I, embody 100% or as much as I would like to, but I know that each one of these qualities is in me. It just takes focus and work to be able to allow those things to come out in me so I can be a better man and a better dad to my son. And I think that's what you guys are all seeking as well. I know all of those qualities are in each one of us. We just haven't really had a chance to explore those necessarily, or had, instruction or a context to be able to step into dadhood in a new way that's different than the way we were raised. Even if you were raised and you love the way that your dad was with you, that can always be better and fine tune. And this is a great exploration of that. So I definitely recommend it. Again, I'll put a link in the show notes for Raising Men, so you can check it out on Amazon. I'll leave a link for his other free download, The Habits of Heroes, which is fantastic. I really encourage you to check it out. I've gotten a lot out of it, and I think you can too. So until the next episode, I want you guys to take really good care of yourselves, take good care of your families, and we'll connect on the next episode.
I hope you enjoyed that episode. You can hang out with other dads in our Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for the Dadhood Journey, and apply to get in. See you there, and see you on the next episode. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Perfect.
Here we go, Dan.